Old Man of the Temple by R.K. Narayan. The talkative man said, "It was some years ago that this happened. I don't know if you can make anything of it. If you do, I shall be glad to hear what you have to say. But personally, I don't understand it at all. It has always mystified me. Perhaps the driver was drunk. Perhaps he wasn't. I had engaged a taxi for going to Kumbong, which is 50 miles from Malgudi. I went there one morning, and it was past 9 in the evening when I finished my business and started back for the town. I prepared him to other drivers because he was a well-behaved, very patient, obedient fellow. His good sense and sobriety are rare qualities in a taxi driver. It was past 11 when we passed the village Kulpa, which is on the way down. It was dark, yet I saw that the village street was deserted. Everyone had gone to sleep. I was half asleep myself when all of a sudden, Dos swerved the car and shouted, "You old fool! Do you want to kill yourself?" I was shaken out of my drowse and asked, "What is the matter?" Dos stopped the car and said, "You see that old fellow, sir? He's trying to kill himself. I can't understand what he is up to." I looked in the direction he pointed and asked, "Which old man?" There, he's coming towards us again. He came out of that temple. I knew something was wrong about him. I took out my torch, got down, and walked about. There was an old temple on the roadside. It was utterly in ruins. Most portions of it were mounds of bricks. The walls were awry. The doors were shut to the main doorway, and brambles and thickets grew over and covered them. "The doors are shut and sealed and don't look as if it had been open for centuries now," I cried. "No, sir," Dos said, coming nearer. "I saw an old man open the doors and come out. He's standing there. Shall we ask him to open them again if you want to go in and see?" I said to Dos, "Let us be going. We are wasting our time here." We went back to the car. Dos sat in his, and as he pressed the key to start the car, he turned his head and asked, "Are you permitting this fellow to come with us, sir?" "Which fellow?" I asked. Dos indicated the space next to him. "What is the matter with you, Dos? Have you had a drop of drink or something?" "I have never tasted a drink of wine in my life, sir," he said, and added, "Get down, old boy. Master said he can take you." "Dos," I pleaded, "if you feel dizzy, don't drive." Then his head sank. I cried out his name desperately, got down, and walked to the front seat. I opened the door and shook him vigorously. He opened his eyes, then trembled like an old man. "Do you feel better?" I asked. Better. He said in a thin, piping voice. "What happened to your voice? You sound like someone else," I said. "Nothing. My voice is as good as it was. When a man is 80, he's bound to feel a few changes coming on." "You aren't 80, surely," I said. "Not a day less," he said. "Is nobody going to move this vehicle? If not, there is no sense in sitting here all day. I will go back to my temple." Then he told me about how funny it was not to see anybody anymore. He missed his family and friends, and how the king ordered him to build the temple. "What is your name?" I asked. "Krishna Bhatar. I am a temple builder, and people know me." "Listen to me," I said. "You ought not to be here anymore because you are dead." Dead? How can be I dead when you see me before you now? I don't own that, I said. According to his own story, he was more than 500 years old. He said, it was like this. I was scrambling through the jungle one night after visiting my sister in the next village. I had on me some money and gold ornaments. A gang of robbers set upon me. I gave them a fight as good as a man could, but they were just many for me. They beat me down and knifed me. They took away all that I had on me and left thinking they had killed me. But soon I got up and followed them, but they were gone. And I returned to the temple, and I've been here since. I told him, Krishna Bhatar, you are dead. Absolutely dead. It is imperative that you go away from here. What is to happen to the temple? Others will look after it. Where will I go? I asked him if he had any wife. He said his wife died 4 years ago. This old man indeed had no sense of time. You can go to her. Just think of her and you will find her, I said to him. He closed his eyes and after a while then suddenly screamed, Sita is coming! Am I dreaming or what? I will go with her. He stood up very erect. He appeared to have lost all the humps and twists in his body. He drew himself up, made a dash forward, and fell down in a heap. Thus lay on the rough ground. The only sign of life in him was his faint breathing. I walked across and knocked on the first cottage, but there was no answer. I knocked louder, then heard the voice that said, It will go away, just the old man from the temple. I ran to the car and honked several times, then the door opened. A whole family came out with lamps. We thought it was the usual knocking. If you hadn't spoken, we would think it was the old man from the temple. When I passed that way months later, I was told that the bullocks passing the temple after dusk never shied now and no knocking on the doors was heard at nights.